talk a little bit more about what I think this could potentially mean for LeBron James and the real reason, as I like to be a little bit more of a clickbait artist right there. So we'll get going in just a second. Charghill Nation, how you doing, man? Let me look at yours really quick. You said, I love how Skip Bayless is going at Bronny. We need that man to be talking crazy till his last day on Earth. I think he'll probably say stuff about LeBron James ad nauseum. I can already see it. I can already envision it. I can already see it. But we'll get started in just a second as soon as we finish with this interlude. This song. Shout out to Pete for the beats. Actually, Pete made this beat, so shout out to him for making this. Let's see here. Let's move on and get right into it. So let's kind of fade this out a little bit. Manual fade. Hey, there we go. How is everybody doing today? This is, of course, your boy Bernie here on The Charge. And as you can see right behind me, if I turn off my camera, we've got LeBron James officially signing a contract extension. Now, the real question that we're going to try to find out in this episode of The Charge live stream is, what does this really mean? Sean talked about him staying in there for another 2 years. There's been a lot of rumors and speculations as to why LeBron James would sign it. Some people were indifferent about it. Some people are excited about it. I know that Laker fans are, again, the most irrational people to deal with in terms of trying to figure out, can you coexist with the Laker fan? That's my main question that I want to ask everybody. If you know a Laker fan, can you talk about it? But let us get right into the news going into this really quick. Are you playing tonight? Yes, I am playing tonight. So don't worry, Russ. Check the thing. I'm on the list. But without further ado, let's get right into the news. And of course, everybody, before we do get started on the news, let me do a little bit of self-promotion. This is, of course, your boy Bernie here. Remember, on The Charge, give me the latest NBA news and rumors and also basketball opinions. Again, remember, the more likes and the more subscribers that we have to this channel does allow us to do a lot more cool and crazy things. Today, I actually put up a video talking about Victor Wembanyama and how he could be the cheat code in the NBA. So if you guys are interested in a video, that is a video to kind of check out and see what you guys think about that. Again, it's a little bit different than, I would say, a live stream or anything where we talk news and rumors. This is more of a analytical part of it. So I'd love for you guys to check that video out. It's out right now, and let me just put it up on the screen for you guys really quick so you guys can see it. This is probably one of my better works that I've done. More so like the effort and energy that I put into it. So I want you guys to check it out and let me know what you guys think. Again, this is the video right here really quick. Let me just put it up on here. We got this NBA Draft Lottery Series, how Victor Wembanyama could be the human cheat code. And again, guys, this is what's going to help us grow and develop this channel to be something special. But without further ado, let's get right into the news that we are talking about today. And that is, of course, that LeBron James has agreed to a 2-year extension. This is what the article goes on to say by Adrian Wojnarowski reports. LeBron James and the LA Lakers have agreed to a 2-year, $97.1 million extension. This deal includes a 15% trade kicker that includes a player option for the 24-25 season. LeBron James had been due to enter his final season of his contract with the Lakers at $44.5 million. With the extension, James passes Kevin Durant to become the highest earning player in NBA history with $532 million in guaranteed money. There were no teams with potential cap space during the 23 offseason that would have interested James in free agency. James is ineligible to find a trade until after the 2022-2023 season. So before we do get started, real question I think everybody wants to know, and I will go to this article from Adrian Wojnarowski, is why? Why sign with the Los Angeles Lakers? What is the real reason to sign with the LA Lakers? What have they done in the NBA offseason so far to warrant LeBron James to really sign there? The biggest thing that I want to look at when it comes to this stuff is more so in the fact that when we see LeBron James and we see all this stuff going on, what I really think it is that LeBron James likes LA. That it's just that plain and simple. Like, as much as we would like to say, like, oh, maybe LeBron James is, maybe scheming something up. Maybe this is a trade for Kyrie Irving. Like, there's a lot of people talking about that stuff in terms of, oh, this is all a ploy to get Kyrie Irving. But what I really think this is, to be honest with everybody, is that he enjoys playing in LA. And more so the lifestyle that occurs in LA. You know, being close to his family, seems like they've grown accustomed to liking that area. Obviously, Bryce is going to be going into his sophomore year. Bronny is going into his senior year, so he's going to be out of the way and going into college relatively soon, or G League, wherever he decides to play. And then, of course, he has a young daughter too, who probably likes the LA area as well, and probably is going to join them at Sierra Canyon to do whatever she wants to do. And so that to me is the reason why I think LeBron James does not want to sign anywhere else, to be honest with you guys. Like when I really look at it and when I really kind of pay attention to the situation at hand, I don't see a reason why LeBron James would want to leave. I mean, at the end of the day, he's built a home there. He's built Lobos Tequila there. He's built a brand deal. I mean, as much as we joke about Skip Bayless always, ragging on LeBron James, I think at some points he is right in the sense that that LeBron James does want that Michael B. Jordan lifestyle. Right? Being able to go out in the town, being able to do all these different things that, LeBron James likes to do. And that quick and easy access it is to money out there in LA compared would be to, for example, Cleveland or any other area that he would decide to live. Maybe Miami might be a different one. But at the end of the day, why not play basketball in LA and also do business in LA too? Makes it a lot easier. The commutes are much easier. It doesn't take a very long time to and get from places. And so to me, I think that's the reason why LeBron James at the end of the day doesn't want to sign anywhere else. As much as he would love, like from a basketball sense, it would make sense. But just like Adrian Wojnarowski said, there's not really anybody willing or has the cap space to really to acquire LeBron James's signature moving forward. And so when I notice that and when I see that from this, that's really all it is tonight. It's nothing more, nothing less than LeBron James really just enjoying his life in LA. As much as we want to make it about something else, as much as we'd love to say like, oh, this is the domino that makes everything fall, I don't think LeBron James cares at this point of his career, in my opinion, about, not that he doesn't care about his legacy, but it's more so I don't think he necessarily has that in the forefront of his mind. When he's 27, 28, and really only had Bronny and maybe Bryce and maybe Zuri as well. But for the most part, Bronny as a young kid, he's thinking about those championships. He's thinking about what the media or what, fans are thinking. But it is what it is. It is what it is at this point. I think LeBron James loves the idea of playing in LA, being there for his family. And I just think that at the end of the day, it makes the most sense. Mo, you said never going to retire. It seems like it, right? It seems like Father Time has not defeated LeBron James yet, and it seems that LeBron James is not going to slow down for Father Time. Russ, you said Braun is now the highest earned player salary-wise in NBA history. Yes, I did see that. I mean, that's awesome. I mean, obviously the amount of years he put into this league, I think he does deserve that money. He does deserve it. And so again, it kind of reminded me of that Chris Paul deal that Chris Paul just got this last season or the season before that. And I just think that that's kind of where we're at right now when it comes to LeBron James, is he enjoys this part of his life. Like I said, LA is not for everybody, right? I think LA is only for the faint of heart. It's for businessmen. It's for businesswomen. It's not necessarily for people that want, maybe for some extent, like a kickback, layback style, but we're talking about LA itself, not Southern California, Northern California. We're talking about LA. And LA, although it may be a little bit relaxed, you could clearly see that the deals and the moves that LeBron James was making in LA clearly garnered him a lot more money and more revenue this season than probably in many years past. Thinking about the time since he got to LA to where he's at right now, I think that's what it is at this point. And so when I think about the LA lifestyle for LeBron James, when I think about what he wants to do in his future career and his endeavors with his family, it makes sense too. And, LeBron James' son, like I said, Bryce, still playing at Sierra Canyon, going into his sophomore year this year, I believe. And so he has 2 more years to deal with that. Maybe not deal with it, but he has 2 more years to kind of watch his son play at the same high school. I mean, it wouldn't make sense, in my opinion, to have, Bryce and Bronny play, have them play at one high school, and then Bryce, for the last 2 years of his career, has to play at a different high school. And so I think that's something that LeBron James has probably thought about in his head. And that's really what it came down to. We could talk about the Kyrie Irving situation. We could talk about all this other stuff. But at the end of the day, that's the bottom line when it comes to LeBron James. It is clearly a family related situation. It's clearly him enjoying the lifestyle there. It's clearly him wanting to make sure that his sons have a place where they can call home rather than a place where LeBron James is trying to garner stats and things like that. And I think we just have to accept it for what it is. I know a lot of fans are not going to be, maybe Cavaliers fans were hopeful that he could return for a final year and maybe play with him and Bronny there in Cleveland where his career started. But at the end of the day, I think it kind of is what it is. And LeBron James will be enjoying his final moments in LA as he continues to find some way to build his career and continue to work on building that Laker legacy. Because here's what I'll tell you guys and what I kind of learned from listening to the Some Dude Show. Let me see if I can find it. Let's see here. I guess it's more of a... Let me see if we can find the episode here. It was this episode right here. You guys should actually check this out. Obviously, I've talked about it numerous times before with Chris Haynes. Chris Haynes, obviously great news reporter, beat writer for Portland in the past, and moving forward now he's kind of an NBA insider and analyst. He really talked about it and really got a good sense of the Lakers and what was been going on in that locker room and what's been going on behind the scenes. The one thing that stuck out to me from this situation that I listened to from here was the fact that Coach Ham, basically told LeBron James in a meeting that this was going to be Anthony Davis's team. And you guys know as well as I do, I had Anthony Davis as the MVP for this last year, which I think was won by Jokic. I really thought that Anthony Davis can have that type of impact. Now, the injury concerns have been the biggest question mark about Anthony Davis at this point. And I think a lot of people are frustrated with the fact that when it comes to a guy like Anthony Davis, he has so much potential. There's so many great things about him, but it continues to be injury after injury. And as much as I would love to say that people are wrong about that, it is true to some extent. And so my hope for the Lakers really is that Anthony Davis does pop off this next season. Because I do want to challenge the Lakers and Celtics in an NBA Finals rematch when both teams are at their strongest, when both teams are at their greatest points, and we can see which team and which coast is the better coast. And so I think that'd be a lot of fun to watch those two teams go at it with one another. But again, it all depends on the Anthony Davis situation. Can he stay healthy enough to garner them a lot of wins? Because we talked about it with Anthony Davis not really playing a lot of games. It does hurt the Lakers' chances of getting to the championship if he cannot be healthy and stay healthy, because that's what the Lakers really need at this point, is that number one guy that is not LeBron James. Because LeBron James at this point of his career, 38 years old, he's not necessarily, he can do it, but you can't have him do it for the amount of games that you want him to, right? You can't have him do it for 82 games in the season and then the rest of the playoffs, right? It has to come from himself. It has to come from Anthony Davis. And Anthony Davis does need to step up in that category. Let him be the guy to carry the offensive load. Because I think at this point, LeBron James does need that just a little bit. Jericho G, you said Kyrie not going to LA. I mean, that's possible. Again, I think that when it comes to this whole Kyrie Irving, I know that Cuffs has talked about it. I really respect Cuffs as kind of like a basketball insider to some extent. Has a lot of connections within the NBA. Talked about the dominoes falling. And again, it is kind of an interesting situation to look at. Does Kyrie Irving come? Does he not come? All I know is Kevin Durant doesn't want to be in Brooklyn. And so by that nature, it makes the Kyrie Irving trade to LA a little bit more feasible than I think a lot of people want to give it credit for. I understand that when it comes to Kyrie Irving, a lot of people are not going to be hyped on it. Not a lot of people are going to be ecstatic on it. But here's the thing, Jericho. You have to understand when Tasai basically said that he has the staff support. Like he basically voted confidence with Steve Nash and Marks. I think that it kind of goes to show you that it is possible that Kyrie Irving could go to LA. Again, am I saying that it's going to be now? Is it going to be in a couple months? It's probably going to be at the middle of the season when, again, Brian Windhorst has hinted at this before that we could potentially see Kevin Durant not necessarily playing for the Brooklyn Nets at the start of the season. Again, a holdout is what I've been seeing. Again, I don't believe that a holdout is possible, but it could potentially happen, according to Brian Windhorst. And I do trust Brian Windhorst to some extent. So again, it's up to you if you believe in him or not. But if that's the case, if Kevin Durant is going to be on strike, basically, I could potentially see Kyrie Irving also being on strike and them just getting rid of him. Because I don't think they want to deal with the situation that they are in right now, which is keeping both these guys, getting rid of the coach, and continuing this sort of recycled situation where we're going to blame the coach and everything, it's his fault. Again, I've talked about it a numerous amount of times in different videos, but this was the coach that Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant wanted. This wasn't just Tasai just picking him because he wants to. And so to me, when I see that, and that's the situation that I'm noticing from the Brooklyn Nets, how can I not just be upset knowing that I basically gave you everything that you wanted, and both of you guys are still upset with me for some reason? And again, I also talked about it in another video. I don't want to keep self-promoting myself, but the other thing that I kind of mentioned in that video as well, or a different one, was the sort of business deal with that it comes to Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. Sometimes it's okay to go into business with your friend. Sometimes that's not the best idea. And so at this point of their careers, I think for Kevin Durant, and Chris Haynes talked about it on the Some Dude show that I kind of spotlighted. And I hope you guys do check it out, because I do think it is if you guys want to know how to be an insider or what it takes to be an insider, he kind of goes and shows you what you have to do. There's a lot of sacrifice that goes into it. A year where he didn't get paid. So again, I want to shout out Cuffs for having Chris Haynes on for that podcast. But what he kind of revealed there was that that Kevin Durant wanted to fill a void. He wants to fill a void with something. And I just think that what that void is, in my opinion, is the void of winning a championship without the Golden State Warriors, without the help of some other people. And so as we continue to give you guys the information out here, I think that the trade for Kyrie Irving to LA is going to happen. I know a lot of guys are thinking no, like Jericho. I know you say no, but maybe I'll leave it as a poll. Let's do this as a poll. I think that's probably the best idea, to kind of poll this and really figure out if you guys think that Kyrie Irving will come to LA. Will Kyrie come to, yes and no. And I'm going to ask you guys in the comment section and in the live chat right now to let me know what you guys think. Does Kyrie Irving come to LA? I think yes. I do think it's going to be a yes, because of the fact of you have this sort of situation here where, again, I'm probably just repeating myself at this point. I do think that this is going to be a situation where Kyrie Irving does get traded eventually, because Kevin Durant decided that he doesn't want to play in Brooklyn, and the Brooklyn Nets are not going to entertain the idea of having Kyrie Irving there for another year. They clearly want to get younger. And the weird part about that whole situation was, when you think back, they had a very young team with the coach that's with the Golden State Warriors right now, Kenny Atkinson. They had a very young team, a team that you could look at and say, this team could be potentially dangerous in the future. They decide to blow that up. They decide to trade Jared Allen instead of and re-sign DeAndre Jordan to that huge contract. I think it was like a 2 or 3 year, $30 million contract, if I'm not mistaken. Let me make sure I fact checked myself on that one. I don't want to spread misinformation on that, but I'm pretty sure that he signed a 2-year extension. Let me look at this really quick. Jordan Nets contract. Let's see here. Where was it? No, it was a buyout, but no, like, let me see if I can find it. Let me see here. DeAndre Jordan. DeAndre. Yeah, so it was a 4-year, $40 million contract. And so when I look at that and I see that that's the situation that they're in right now, I don't know. I don't think that this is necessarily I'm trying to think of the right word that I want to tell you guys, but I don't know. I'm not. It comes back to the whole thing again about Kevin Durant basically having everything he wanted in that situation and basically is now, like I said, leaving the mess for someone else to clean up. And, as much as I would love to say that Kyrie, that we can do that, at the same time, again, you're leaving teammates, you're leaving coaching staffs, you're leaving everything behind for a mess that you created. And that's the reason why I think if it does happen to get traded, and it kind of circles back to what we talked about just a little bit ago, Kyrie Irving and the whole not playing the whole season as a part-time hooper, and then again going back to the whole situation of this was their mess that they created. If they do decide to get traded, it's on them, and it's also on the fact that Kyrie Irving will probably get traded to LA. I know a lot of people are saying that it can't happen, but I think it is going to happen. I know that that's a little bit crazy to think about, but at the same time, I don't see how this cannot happen. And so, again, let me know in the comment section and let me know in the chat what you guys think about what you guys think of the poll. Again, I need a little bit more voting in there, so make sure you vote. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section and in the live chat down below. And again, this all comes down to this whole situation with LeBron James and really what he wants in his life. I think at the end of the day, he probably wants to be known as a Laker. LeBron James wants to be known as a Laker legend. And I think that with the contract extension, I know a lot of people were wondering why could he do that? I mean, it kind of ruins his leverage. But at the same time, LeBron James is definitely going to be a player that's going to be etched in history books, maybe this year or next year when he breaks Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's record. But let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys think of this contract extension? What do you think the real reason is that LeBron James is signing to the LA Lakers? And let me know if you guys have a different theory or hypothesis as to why LeBron James is leaving. Let me know in the comment section down below. All right, everybody, let's move on to the next story. And the next story is this. Next story we got is, of course, the Lakers are going to retire Paul Gasol number 16 on March 7th. This was just kind of a small story that I wanted to talk about here. The Lakers have announced that they are going to retire the number of Paul Gasol. And we all know the infamous trade of Paul Gasol was traded to the Lakers in 2008 and went on to appear in 3 finals and 2 final series wins. Gasol was an all-star with the Lakers in the 3 of his 6 full seasons. And I think that this is great by the Lakers to honor Paul Gasol. Again, at the end of the day, I think both the Lakers and the Celtics are going to be out of numbers to retire with all the numbers that they have. But I think that this is going to be an important thing for the Lakers to do, because Paul Gasol was kind of a forgotten soul on that team. I think a lot of people thought about Lamar Odom. They thought about Andrew Bynum, especially as he was kind of emerging as the star center for this team. And to see that Paul Gasol is going to get his number retired, I mean, it just means a lot to probably the Laker fans who remember those Laker days. I mean, a lot of those Lakers who were kids are now in their late 20s, early 30s. Probably going to be some of them in their younger 20s, but for the most part, older 20s to early 30s. And it was a special time in basketball. Again, Sean and I are huge Celtics fans, and Tyrese as well, huge Celtics fans. But I remember Sean and I, who we are, great high school friends, great friends now to this day. We remember those moments and remember talking about those teams and remember talking about beating the Lakers in that 2008 game. But then they came back and won against us in that 2010 game, if I'm not mistaken. And so it was an exciting situation for to kind of watch. Give me Marc Gasol instead. Are you your team Marc Gasol? I mean, Marc Gasol was a pretty good player. I can't deny that. But again, Paul Gasol definitely played an instrumental part in those championships, if anyone remembers those. And again, I think they don't win those championships without him. This was the infamous, I believe they traded Kwame Brown to Memphis, if I'm not mistaken, and many other players in that trade. I can't remember the players. There's probably like a whole trade. Let me see if I can find the trade so you guys can kind of look back on it. Let's see. Oops. Trade to Lakers. Believe this one. This is an old article too. It was nope. Come on, give me the trade. Might be this one. Here it is. The trade was this. It was trade Paul Gasol and a second round pick in exchange for Kwame Brown, Javarius Crittenton, Aaron McKee, and the draft rights to Marc Gasol. So eventually his brother was the catalyst to this trade. And so again, I think that this is great for Lakers fans and great for the history and the lore of the LA Lakers themselves. It was a lot of fun to watch the Celtics battle out with these Lakers teams. They were always so good. It was always so competitive and always went to a 7 games. I don't believe that any of them didn't go to a 7-game series. If I'm mistaken, I could be wrong. But I think that it was a lot of fun. I remember the last series we played against them when Kobe Bryant won his last championship. That was a lot of fun. And it was also a lot of excruciating and heartbreaks looking at it. But again, let me know in the comment section down below. What do you guys think of this Paul Gasol news? Again, this is just something small, something short. And I do appreciate, even though we were rivals, I do appreciate what Paul Gasol brought for the LA Lakers and the kind of rekindled rivalry of the LA Lakers versus the Boston Celtics. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about Paul Gasol retiring his number. All right, let's move on to the next story. And the next story is this. The Pelicans are unwilling to trade Brandon Ingram for Kevin Durant. So this is kind of one of those things that if Kevin Durant gets moved, the Pelicans could be a player in the sweepstakes, but that will likely require them to surrender Brandon Ingram. And of course, a lot of people have talked about this not being the case. Again, I know that there's a lot of news and rumors when it comes to kind of Brandon Ingram or more so Kevin Durant trades, because at the end of the day, Kevin Durant is a game-changing player. But I think for the Pelicans, I don't think it's smart for them to get rid of their young core and their young talent for Kevin Durant, because I think they have something special going on. I think Willie Green, the coach there, I just don't see them getting rid of it. The Lakers, Celtics 08 was peak of the NBA. Can't get better than that. True, to some extent, true. I think that in terms of offense and I think and again, it might just be down to age, but you can clearly see that when it comes to, actually, I believe the 2016 Cavs Warriors was probably one of the best finals in a very long time, if I'm being truthful, Sean. I think that was probably the best. I think just the storyline and everything that went on in it, I think that's what made it, for me personally, one of the best NBA finals. And maybe we'll do a rankings list of NBA finals. Maybe that's something Pete and I will do in the near future. But let's talk about this really quick. When it comes to the Pelicans, I think that the problem, like I said, they shouldn't be looking to move any of their young pieces or talent. Willie Green has created a special culture there, and you can clearly see that in the NBA playoffs when they were playing. The passion, the energy, the amount of games that they took the Phoenix Suns to, this to me would be a mistake by the Pelicans if they were to get rid of their young core. Because they found something that worked, even without Zion Williamson, who was hurt at the time. And so why would you want to trade that away just to bring in Kevin Durant? Again, Kevin Durant and Zion Williamson, not saying that wouldn't be a good matchup or a good combo, but at the same time, you're going to get rid of all that depth that you had on your team to bring in Kevin Durant. When I think that if you keep the same team, now you bring in Zion Williamson, I think you have something special. And I think that by having Zion at the beginning of the year, where you guys can grow and develop and continue to this momentum moving forward into the NBA playoffs and potentially could be, maybe a top 7, top 8 seed in the West, you could potentially see the Pelicans doing a great thing for them. Like it would help them so much to have those guys there and fully committed to the team. But by adding Kevin Durant, yes, you're getting a tremendous scorer. You're getting someone that could help out. But at the same time, I think for a young team like the Pelicans are, it makes no sense to get rid of of them for an older guy and Kevin Durant, who again, you have to get rid of a ton of depth in order to acquire some of these guys. And so I don't think it's necessarily the best idea, in my opinion, to get rid of all those guys just to bring in Kevin Durant. And then now you're kind of left with a situation where it's just Zion and Kevin Durant, and that's basically it. Because you're not going to be able to keep a lot of those guys that made a huge impact in the playoffs last year. I think that's something that Willie Green did a good job of, was finding those guys on the bench, finding those guys who could give you those spurts in games, give you those situations where you don't have to play all those guys all the time. And they gave you those spurts. They brought in the other guys to kind of finish out kind of clean up the end of the games. And it clearly was a formula that worked for them. And so I don't think that's necessarily a great idea by the Pelicans to get rid of Brandon Ingram or anybody else to bring in Kevin Durant. I think the idea for them is to continue to build and look forward. I think the only two teams that I could potentially see getting interested in Kevin Durant at this point is only what is their name? The Philadelphia 76ers and the Celtics. And again, I don't think the Celtics are really going to go anywhere with it. I think that's going to potentially end relatively soon. Because if you really think about it, I think that the Boston Celtics, they have already said this is as much as we're giving up. And the Brooklyn Nets are continuing to show their hand and saying, well, we're not going to take it. And so the Celtics are saying, all right, we're just going to leave it alone then. We have an offer. We gave it to you. And if you don't want it, that's fine. And I just think that at the end of the day, it's a very high asking price for Kevin Durant, because it kind of goes back to this and kind of the situation at hand. Why would I want to give up these assets to bring in a guy who potentially could say after a year, I'm done with the team and I want to get traded again? Again, I think Kevin Durant, with the way the NBA has gone with some of these players, like I talked about with Ben Simmons, like I talked about with James Harden, when you continue to give them the option to just say, hey, we'll just, trade you, it doesn't matter. I think it takes away the power of Kevin Durant to kind of own up to what he's done in Brooklyn in terms of both Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving continue to, like I said, they built the team, they built the coaches, they got the coaches they want, they got the teammates they want, they got everything that they wanted in Brooklyn, and still cannot continue their, I would say their promise to building a great Brooklyn Nets team. That is the frustrating part. And I think that's the reason why a lot of teams are very hesitant right now on trying to sign any of these guys. Because at the end of the day, why would I want to do that? If like I said, if I'm the Celtics, if I'm the 76ers, it even gives me cause for pause, because what could make you think that, okay, maybe I might just give up at this point, or like, hey, I want to get traded when you feel like there's a good momentum going. And I would say this for Nash. I've talked about this before with Steve Nash as the head coach. You shouldn't have given him that role so soon, because he was just an advisor for the Warriors. He wasn't someone that was a head coach already. And I think that Kenny Atkinson actually would have done a much better job, because he would have actually held some of these guys accountable. I think he would have held Kyrie Irving accountable for not being there at practice or not being there during the season. And so as we continue to kind of look at this stuff, and again, I don't really want to go too long today. I probably will stream tomorrow. I think that's going to be the best bet to kind of talk a little bit more about the next story at hand. Because I really wanted to talk about this LeBron James story more so than anything else. But at the end of the day, for the Brooklyn Nets and what has been going on, I think they need to start looking at some of the deals that may or may not be the best ones, but already start thinking, okay, these are the ones I'm going to have to take, because it looks like a lot of teams and a lot of people are not willing to let me have Kevin Durant for a high price, right? I don't think teams are looking to make the same mistakes that the New York Knicks did many years ago when they brought in Carmelo Anthony, because look what it did to them. Yes, they were competitive. They were always there fighting. But at the end of the day, when you got rid of your depth, it really didn't help you out that much when you don't really have much depth after Carmelo, after Amari Stoudemire, and you were left kind of holding the bag, and you're kind of thinking, okay, what is the next step for the New York Knicks? And it's the same thing that's happening here in Brooklyn. and whoever Brooklyn can get, you need to just get those guys and not worry about, oh, am I getting the most value I can? Am I going to be like Danny Ainge from the Boston Celtics? It takes a special person to be like that, and I just don't think at the end of the day the Brooklyn Nets have that in them. But I could be wrong, and I want to know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Again, this is going to be a very interesting situation as the Pelicans continue to look to see what they could do. Again, I would personally not get rid of I would not get rid of Brandon Ingram. I think at 25 years old, are going to be turning 25. That is a prime age, along with Zion Williamson, who's going to be, I believe, 2021. Like, and all those guys that you have there, you have something there that's special. So why would you ruin it and speed up a timeline that you're not really necessarily on? And again, I want to use my boy Pete's timeline analogy, but they're not on that timeline right now. And so when we look at it and see everything, it's going to be one of those situations that continues to be, I would say, sort of, maybe sort of critical, or more so thinking about, interesting to talk about when it comes to Brandon Ingram and the Pelicans. I would keep the same team. I don't think that I would necessarily get rid of them. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. I would love to know what you think about both Brandon Ingram and Kevin Durant. If you were to look for a trade, would you do that or would you not do that? Let me know in the comment section down below. And let's read this guy's tweet really quick. Generally curious, KD, what information are fans entitled to? If a big Nets fan, Brooklyn has decided whether to set aside a bunch of his hard-earned money on season tickets, he probably want to know if the team that's best player to play his team next season. You're entitled to what you work for. Now have a great day, little fella. Okay. Nothing too crazy there. But anyway, guys, I think that's going to do it here for the Charge. Thank you once again for joining us here, giving you the latest NBA news and rumors, and also basketball opinions. And again, guys, we talked a lot about LeBron James, talked a little bit about the Paul Gasol retirement, and of course, at the end of it, we talked about Kevin Durant potentially going to the Pelicans and why it could or could not work, or why the Pelicans are unwilling to give up Brandon Ingram for this. But let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys think of these stories? We'll catch you guys in the next video. Remember, the video for us right now is the Victor Wembanyama video. Please check that out. Go hit that like, go hit that subscribe, go hit that share button. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I hope you guys have a great and awesome rest of your day on this August 17th, 2022, and we'll catch everybody on the next episode of The Charge, which will be tomorrow at about, let's go like noon. We're going to go noon to kind of talk about other kind of NBA news and rumors and basketball opinions tomorrow on The Charge live stream. Anyway, guys, like I said, my name is Bernie. Thank you once again for joining, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Peace.